In the spring of 2002, there came a guy. He came in standing in at 6'5" from St. Louis, Missouri. He had his debut match against one of the stiffest and most intense professionals on the planet at the time, Hardcore Holly, the son of Cowboy Bob Orton and grandson of Bob Orton Sr. This guy was a third-generation wrestler. His career continues today, drawing it out to a near 2-decade-long experience. This is not a before they were famous. This is not a career highlights summary. This is a love letter. A love letter to Randy Orton. To start things off, let's look at how Randy Orton looks at this moment in time. Whoa. Ho ho ho. Whoa. Wow. Randy is currently 40 years old. Yeah, I hope I look that good at 42. Hell, I wish I could look like that now. Most fans know that he was part of one of the most promising, and now pretty fulfilled, groups that came out of OVW. With guys like John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Batista. But this video isn't about them. It's about the main man, Randy Orton. He is the last of his breed, seeing as how he's the only full-time wrestler from that fantastic crop of OVW talent. What makes Randy Orton so good is his ability to play both the heel and the face with a high degree of flair and expertise. This is an attribute that all the greats who have stepped in the ring have in common. Let's look at Eddie Guerrero, who was a lovable goofball and was loved when he fought his demons and eventually won the WWE Championship, but absolutely despised when he toyed with Rey Mysterio and his son, all because he couldn't beat him. Triple H, along with his buddy Shawn Michaels, had a legion of fans who were doing DX chops and saying "suck it." They were able to do this twice in their careers. But Triple H was also hated when he became the authority figure that he was saying "suck it" to all those years ago. And let's not forget one of the greatest of all time, Chris Jericho, who continuously blurs the lines of heel and face because he's just that good. You know who else is that good? Randy Orton. Randy Orton is that good. Just look at this. At one point during his heel run, Randy Orton started a group that consisted of young, talented second and third generation wrestlers. These wrestlers were Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes. The group went around beating the absolute out of a bunch of old men, punting their heads while they were down. Absolutely evil. There's no way you don't hate this dude. He is legit just jumping old dudes. What else would you expect from the guy who calls himself the Legend Killer? But the stable would disband, with Orton turning on his group of young and talented and very pretty colleagues. This was a result of Randy feeling like he was held back because of his view that Rhodes and DiBiase Jr. had costed him some wins. I chose to talk about legacy because it best shows Randy Orton's deal. It shows what he wants and who he is, always doing what is best for himself. Randy has stayed true to his way throughout the years. Let's look at Evolution.
Evolution is a mystery, full of dreams that no one sees.
In Evolution, which if you're watching this, you should know about, and if not, let me know if you want a video about it. In Evolution, it was best for him to stick close to the group that consisted of a veteran, a current badass who is in charge, and a fellow future star. It benefited him greatly. He was a badass loner who, when the services were needed, would be called for, but only if it benefited him. Like for example when he joined the Authority with his old buddy Triple H. But this is what I was talking about. Orton had been betrayed by this guy and had gone through wars with him. But Randy would still join, because if there's one thing Orton loves more than hurting those that hurt him or that stand in his way, it's his desire for success. Through this alliance, Randy was practically handed the WWE Championship that one night he cashed in the Money in the Bank contract. It made no difference to him though. The ends justify the means, so long as the end means more success and more gold for Orton. But in pro wrestling, betrayal is always on the horizon. So naturally, when the deal between the Authority himself went sour, Orton went on his own. The fallout resulted in Orton and Rollins entering into a feud with each other. This culminated into a great WrestleMania match where we saw one of the most memorable RKOs in a while. The guy is just so good in the ring too. It's like Randy Orton has formulated a system that he sticks to in the ring. But it doesn't matter how dedicated Orton is to taking the same approach in every single match, every single year, because it always looks good. Look at this. There's a word that is always used to describe Randy Orton and his actions in the ring. Methodical. That's what they always say, methodical. Yep, that's pretty spot on. He doesn't need to add anything to his moveset, because everything he does in the ring is calculated. There's meaning behind each of his actions. He doesn't need to be doing high spots in order to draw in the crowd. Randy Orton just needs to continue doing what he's been doing all those years, which is kick ass and be cool. At the time of recording, he failed at getting another WWE Championship ring. He lost to Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. But honestly, Randy really doesn't need it. Randy is a 100% certified future Hall of Fame inductee. He can still go too. His in-ring formula is close to ideal for someone who is older but wants to continue performing for years to come. Not doing too much, but doing enough to make it a good show. There's a lot more I can say about good old Randal Keith Orton, but all I want to say is, I love you. I love Orton for all he's done in the business of professional wrestling, for all the great times I've been able to witness. I don't watch pro wrestling much anymore. I kind of fell out of love with it a few years back. I only ever know what goes on through social media. But if there's one thing I know to be true, then, now, and forever, it is that Randy Orton is a GOAT. Thank you.